Why are the CDC and World Health Organization not calling monkeypox a sexually transmitted disease? Hi, everybody. It's Dr. David with another Ask Dr. David video. Hope everybody's doing well out there. And a quick reminder, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel and put the notification button on, please do so. And also join us on our other social media platforms. So, there are now over 1,200 cases worldwide reported for monkeypox, although it is felt that this number is probably higher. And of course, in certain countries, reporting systems are better than others. There still have been very few cases in America, but there has been in over 30 countries overall. Now, although the monkeypox is not specifically spread from vaginal or seminal fluids, it is certainly being transmitted during sex. We know this. And so, therefore, if it's being transmitted during sex, it's a sexually transmitted disease. That's what the words actually say, right? So, I don't really see how this would be different than herpes virus. Herpes virus 2, herpes simplex virus 2, is the form that usually causes the more venereal diseases in the pubic area, etc. While herpes simplex 1 usually causes more oral outbreaks, although they can be both of them can occur in either place. It's just one's more likely to be in the other than the other one is. Now, this is also something that's not passed along through seminal or vaginal fluids, right? Although it can be through saliva, but nonetheless, it's really more the friction, the rubbing of an open sore that can cause the passage of herpes, which is again that is what we're seeing here in with monkeypox. So while it hasn't been traditionally considered a sexually transmitted disease, it seems to me that it fits the criteria of a sexually transmitted disease because it's transmitted during sex. Okay, now a couple of the things that I want to point out. So it's not just a sexually transmitted disease because it has been passed from household contacts. Now, as I reviewed before, monkeypox is not nearly as contagious as things like the flu, as coronaviruses. It has to be a much more close, longer, intimate, even type of contact in order to create the spread. It's not from just being in a room, it's not from just being in a bus or anything like that. But nonetheless, it does start off similarly to the flu and even chickenpox, etc., because there's always this flu-like illness first, where there's like feeling bad, run down, achy, fever, but it's not for a while before those pox can come out. So of course that can be really challenging because you don't know that you have monkeypox for a while. The It is currently being passed along, as I mentioned last time, between men having sex with men. And it is firmly believed that at this point, that's just because that's the population it got to next. And it certainly can be passed along through non-homosexual sex. But at the same time, I really do hope that this doesn't become a stigmatism, the way that AIDS was put onto the gay population, from especially from men, because we of course learned afterwards that heterosexual sex was just as easily passing along the virus. Okay, now in my video from a couple of weeks ago, I had reported, as did many other people, that there wasn't any evidence that that this monkeypox that's going around is actually mutating because DNA viruses don't mutate very much. But now we know this is not true. Now, RNA viruses, as we've seen, such as SARS-CoV-2 and influenza, they can have mutations all over the place, as we've seen several within this year alone, and that's just on the Omicron phase. But it would be typically, well, what we're seeing right now is that there has been 40 different mutations in the monkeypox virus over the last 4 years. Now, historically, it would take a DNA virus. Remember, this is DNA, not RNA. A DNA virus, you normally take about 50 years to see this number of mutations. So there clearly is a difference between what we're seeing now versus in the past. And of course, could this be a concern? Does this potentially making it more contagious or more severe? And that is possible, but that's not what the evidence so far is showing. But as we've seen so much with coronavirus, just because early evidence doesn't show something, it could go one way or the other. And we just do not know. And of course, part of the reason why we're wanting people to be a little bit more knowledgeable and hyper vigilant about this is to stop it from spreading. But there's still no indication that this would turn into a pandemic situation just because of the relative way it's able to spread compared to the other viruses that causes pandemics. Okay. Now, the mutations that are being seen, interestingly, are what are referred to as single nucleotide polymorphisms. Now, that is where there is a single piece of DNA. So, if you remember from biology or genetic classes, where there are the A's and the T's and the G's and C's, that when we open up our DNA code and it gets read and it makes an amino acid, puts down based upon what those next three what are called nucleotides actually turns into messenger RNA, then gets the nucleotides are put down. um, this is what we also know about with MTHFR mutations, right? This, if you want a good review of this, check out my video that I did with Dr. Ben Lynch few months ago. But it's a single thing where there's a single DNA switch that can happen. And again, that can cause a change of a whole bunch of things. But interestingly, when it comes to DNA virus mutations, mammals as well as other animals can actually have as part of our immune system the ability to create mutations in a DNA virus code, and it's often that actually can damage that DNA virus and make it less likely to replicate, potentially even kill it off. So we don't know that this is a problematic or are problematic mutations. It could just be part of what's going on, but again, why it's happening with the frequency it isn't, that needs to be figured out. All right, so we may be seeing this spread now. And because so many people are traveling and interacting more, again, now that the pandemic is coming to an end for coronavirus and people just are much more social, much more traveling, etc. And of course, well, people are working in closer proximity to each other too, since there is this household spread. Could there be workplace spread? And of course, we don't know. But of course, I will continue to report back as if there's any new or exciting information about this. But at least here we are in the middle of June, and this is where we stand today for monkeypox. Have a great day.